Well, this is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and I just want to go through water filtration real quick with you and go through the history of it and my history of it. Of course, I had a first need water filtration back in the day because it was the best that we had 20 plus years ago, and they've gone through a bunch of different modifications. And if you use that type system, that's fine. We were from a governmental type point of view. It was a very heavy duty use item. And then you had the pure water filters, which these are actually the pure water filters. These are Katadyn. Katadyn actually took over the company. And I'm just going to tell you there's two different filters here. There's a Hiker and a Hiker Pro, even though they're both labeled Hikers. And they're very different in one aspect, and that's basically just in the pre-filtration. Now, the standard Hiker filter, if you take it apart, and I'm going to tell you, I've never had one of these fail. If you ever have one of these fail, you might be doing something a little wrong. The standard Hiker water filter, as you look at it, looks like an air filter of a car, okay? Of course, it has this, this mesh kind of wrap on it, this, that, or the other, da-da-da-da-da. Now, that's the standard Hiker filter. I don't want to set that down because it's got silicone lubricant on the threads, making it easier to take apart and put back together. Now this is the Hiker Pro. If you notice the difference between the two, one you can actually see the filter, the other one has a pre-filter on it. Now the difference between having that pre-filter and not having the pre-filter is about 100 gallons. The standard Hiker will filter about 200 gallons of good water, and the Hiker Pro is rated at 300 gallons. How you get around that is you can use basically on the Hiker, do what we have always done and use these just flat coffee filters, or you know, whatever type of coffee filter you have, some rubber bands, put it around the intake. You know, be careful where you have your intake, use your float, and this one step right there of using those coffee filters will basically turn your Hiker into a Hiker Pro, or even turn a Hiker Pro into a better filter. So if this is what you have and you're trying to get more filtration out of it, a coffee filter over the inlet is a good way to go, as using it as a pre-filter, which is basically kind of what is going on here. And it's how we've gotten around all of this for all these years. I'm going to just kind of screw those in there. As I said, you use the silicone grease on those threads. And it's a really good setup. It's been a really good setup for years. That's why people have used them. You get on the internet and go, oh my God, those things are terrible, they fail, and this, that, or the other. It may be the fact that you were not using them correctly, something like that. But that's just the way it works. I've never had a problem. There's also these Katadyn, whatever the hell kind of filter this is. It's the Katadyn Pocket Water Micro Filter. It's pocket, all right. To get back into some weights of these things, just to kind of give you some relative point of view, and I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff the way I would normally do it. The water filter without any attachments, this one is 7.95 ounces. So let's say with all the intake and all the other stuff, you're basically going to be getting in there at the bag, which the bag most people throw away. You're coming in at 13 ounces. Most people get rid of that bag and do something different. The pocket water filter comes in at 24.9 ounces. Now, I said those were, you know, 200 and 300 a gallon respectively. This was a massive upgrade, and of course this was used by some of the best governments and things out there at the time. This is a different type of technology. Let me kind of take this sucker apart. And what this uses is just uses a ceramic filter, a ceramic, you know, just filter. You use it, clean it off. You can see I've used this one a little bit, cleaned it off, da 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 da. Very, very, very good technology for the time, and there are still a lot of different types of ceramic filters out there, and systems that use ceramic filters. And this one will give you about 13,000 gallons for the life of the filter. Now these Katadyn pocket filters, which aren't very pocket, are very expensive. The filters for them are very expensive. Back in the day when we were using these things, these were only about $150, $100 and some dollars. I think they're quite a bit more than that now. But that's, you know, about what it's worth. Anything more than that, you're really... And these are filters. These are not purifiers, okay? This is 0.2 microns. This might be 0.1 microns. Hell, who knows? If I find it real quick, I'll let you know. But they're basically, what they are is for connecting and just doing... they do 99.9%, 1 to 4 people, bunch of rigmarole crap. See, back in the day, no one published what the micron filter rating was. But anyway, this is the pocket filter. It works. If you're going to do, it will not work against viruses. At least we always treated ours as though it did not, and we were never unhappy. Now, of course, there's your scrubby and some extra stuff, and there's how you tell if your filter's too thin, and this, that, or the other. If you're into carrying really heavy shit, you're rocking and rolling. Back in the day, 20-some years ago, that was pretty leading edge technology. And I think this one's always been made by the Katadyn Corporation, from what I remember. Katadyn bought Pure and then brought these into the mix. Now, as far as a newer technology, the Sawyer Squeeze. Now, we went from 100 gallons to 13,000 gallons. And this Sawyer Squeeze, we're going to roll in here. This is 0.245 ounces with no reservoir. So whatever reservoir you want to use, of course, they come with them. People talk about the bags that come with them. The bags are better now, My advice is don't over squeeze them. Don't do this, that, or the other. You may or may not have a problem with the Sawyer Squeeze and the newer type of platypus bags. I have the older type, which mine work really well with these. If you ever have a problem, you know, you can use the Sawyer bags, or you can just use a bottle. Bottle basically just threads on right there. Any plastic bottle will work, and use that for your dirty water. And then, of course, your clean water comes out of here. But as I said, those other ones were 100 gallons. 200 gallons, 300 gallons. Of course, you could stretch that out a little bit if you used a pre-filter. And then your 13,000 gallons. Of course, this one's rated at 1,000,000 gallons because you have the ability to back flush it. And of course, everybody's seen the videos and all the rigmarole on the Sawyer and the syringe that comes with it to back flow it. I would really wash mine out every day, but I'm just kind of that way. The problem is, given the type of technology that it's using, if you don't wash it out kind of regularly, even though you don't seem to have a restriction, you really do, because that stuff gets built up in there and it gets harder to wash out. So if you really want to get the maximum out of this filter, I would really kind of wash it out on a regular basis. Of course, you don't have to. Your mileage may vary, but I chose to. Of course, if you ever have a problem with this lid, you can always take the lid off of just any type of water bottle you usually buy out there. You can upgrade the lids as you go. This is the standard lid, which is what I'm showing you here. But as I said, you can put any kind of flip type lid that you can get off a water bottle on there. And this one will do 1,000,000 gallons, and this costs $20. We probably go from about $60 to $80 to $300+ for the pocket, and then we got about $30 in this one with a bag, a reservoir. Now that's going to be your 1 quart reservoir, and then you can get additional ones. You can buy it with all 3 bags of a 1 quart, 2 quart, 3 quart, You can do whatever you want to do. My recommendation is have some type of backup system. If you're going to carry this thing, carry this and a couple bags, or a bag and a bottle, or this, there, or the other. And plastic water bottles are all over the place. You can find them. So if you have a failure, you have some type of redundancy there. Then, if you want to go to a true purifier, this is a Sawyer purifier. This is the 0.02. Now, the reason they say that is this is a 0.1 micron filter. Okay, so this does your Giardia and and this, there, the other, and all your normal stuff. It does not do viruses. This 0.02 does do viruses, but as you see, it has different types of connections. It doesn't have a screw type connection. Where this one will do 1 million gallons, the Sawyer squeeze, this one will do about little over 264,000 gallons, which is quite a lot of water. But as I said, that 0.02 will take out viruses, so this is really considered to be a purifier. Comes with, this is quite a bit more expensive, $100 or so, as opposed to the $20-$30 for this one, maybe $40, depending on how many reservoirs you get. But still, when you compare this filter for $120, doing that many gallons, to a Katadyn Hiker, even the Hiker Pro, which is around $80, or the Hiker or the pocket filter, this is a much more economical thing to use. Now, what you can do, as I showed before, I have a 55-gallon drum that has a faucet on it. You can take this Sawyer and screw it right on the end of that faucet and have immediate filtration of your water at a good flow rate. The flow rate, of course, on this 0.02 micron is not going to be the same as this one, even though they've tried to increase the flow rate by increasing the diameter and the amount of elements in there. Now, just without getting into a bunch of science, these two filters, when they rate these two filters, Sawyer, and they're telling you that 0.02, that's not an average. That is the maximum size of any orifice in the actual filtration media. So there's not any that are larger than that. That's the largest size. So when you talk about maybe some of the other filters out there, and they talk about their micron size, that might be just an average value. And then they have some error above and, of course, below that. On this one, your error is what they're rated at. So anyway, the cost of these things compared to what they actually can return is quite good. The only thing is, because they're sealed type units, you're going to have to be very careful about them freezing. Where the Katadyn, you can basically just, in freezing environments, take it apart and get all the water out of it and let it dry rather quickly. These have some nominal yield as far as just the retention of water. So you have to be aware of that when you're using them. Put them in your pocket, of your coat. Do something to where they're closer to your body and they don't freeze. As far as the squeeze, and they've got the mini too, but I don't have the mini. The mini, of course, will do 100,000 gallons, and it's a small little 1-ounce unit. And I'll get some of those and bring them in front of the camera. But right now, 264,000 gallons of purified water and 1 million gallons of antibacterial and cysts, basically, is kind of what I'm going for. As I said, we will test out the mini later on when we get closer to doing some of the stuff that we're going to be doing over the next few years. But this is kind of the more current generation of water filtration, and just kind of wanted to give you kind of my take on it, and as far as the amount of money spent. The best bang for your buck, of course, if you're in the United States, is this one right here, which is the Sawyer squeeze. Gives you basically 1 million gallons of drinkable water. If you're going to try and purify it, the reason the purification comes in is when you are outside of the United States or you are in a disaster area. If you're in a disaster area where you have had some problems with sanitation, this, that, or the other, hurricanes, I can give you a bunch of different things. then these filtration methods, this Purifiers is much recommended. If you're in, depends on what country you're in, and they've got a lot of different ways to take water into this thing. I'll just kind of lay some of it out in front of you. You have the ability to hook it up to a faucet, and of course you got your attachment point there. So you just put that on a faucet, and you can purify or filter your water. They've got a way of hooking it onto a bucket, which probably isn't the absolute best way. The actual adapter on the they have another filter that has a better attachment point than this one. But this one, what you'd basically do is you put your gaskets on there. Then you put it through a bucket. It gives you a drill bit for the bucket, and then you put your other gasket on the other side and then lock it down. Of course, I think this is an older setup for this one. They've got some newer ones, newer type arrangements, and then you basically lock it on there. So this becomes basically a hang filter, which you clip on there, and you got one of these goes through there, and and you've seen the videos. Anyway, this is Guns, Knives, and Watches, and have a good one. Hope it's clear as mud. Have a good one.